Please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Welcome to Beautiful People. I think it's fitting that in the week that the ICC Cricket World Cup ends, our guest is one of the most iconic cricketers in the world. For several decades now, his incredible sporting prowess and the life he has led has inspired in us admiration, interest, curiosity, some would say lust even. Please welcome the legendary and the inimitable Imran Khan. Imran Khan, it's wonderful to have you talking to us on Beautiful People on CNBC TV 18.
My pleasure.
And with the kind of talking that you've been doing in the past 1 month or over a month now on cricket, are you all talked out?
Well, I could still have had Pakistan performed up to their potential. I mean, you know, I'm a sportsman. I don't mind you lose when you give your best, you fight till the last ball. But I hate it when you lose timidly as we did. So it left a sort of a bit of a depression. I thought I thought they could have done much better.
So no cornered tigers on display this time around.
They were pussycats instead of being tigerish. Unfortunately, India actually I thought played really badly.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought except for Sehwag, their batting was very shaky, they were tense, they were reeling under the pressure. Pakistan had them on the ropes at 120 or 130 for 4, and that's where they should have been like a pack of wolves, you know, going for the Indian juggler. And they just sort of let everything slip by and fielded badly, and then
So
and
this
then the
World
batting
Cup
ground
is over for you, Imran Khan. World Cup 2011 is done with. Is it?
painfully over for me.
On the day of the India-Pakistan semi-final, we saw huge amounts of atavistic, primitive, negative, jingoistic, use whatever words you want to describe that collective feeling in both the countries. In that situation, I thought both the teams displayed tremendous amount of grace and dignity. How difficult is it to do that, if you agree with me, when you're in the middle of that pressure cooker, where around you more than 1 billion people are really negative? Because this victory is not about celebrating a victory. It's as much about celebrating another country's loss, isn't it?
When there's an Indo-Pakistan match, and I always sense that, it ceases to be cricket. It goes beyond cricket in the sense that it evokes what I call negative nationalism.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's positive nationalism where you have pride in your country, which is very positive, self-esteem, which is what propels a country high. But negative nationalism is derived out of hatred. And I think anything which breeds hatred amongst human beings is a negative thing. But I blame not the cricket fans, I don't blame the cricketers, I blame the political leadership. I have to say that, you know, when I played against India, there was a lot of pressure put on us by the public to really crush the opposition. And if you did not do well against India, you got a lot of flack from the public. And so that was the big pressure on the players. But despite that, I thought Pakistani and Indian players had the best relationship compared to any other cricket team. So for instance, if we played other teams like Australia or England or West Indies, our relationship was the strongest with the Indian team, off the field.
You alluded just now to the leadership in the subcontinent, or the lack of leadership in the subcontinent. I've heard you say that Prime Minister Manmohan Singh's gesture of inviting his Pakistani counterpart here and watching the match together was positive, that the outcome wouldn't be much because Pakistan has a weak government. I want you to amplify that statement. What do you mean?
Well, not just Pakistan. I think India has weak leadership too. I thought, I'm one of the greatest critics of Pervez Musharraf. But I thought General Pervez Musharraf went out of his way. He got a lot of flack from the right wing. He went out of his way to solve the main issues, which is Kashmir. And I thought, unfortunately, the Indian leadership did not come forward. Forget about halfway. I thought they gave no concessions. Well, that's the impression we got in Pakistan. And that was a golden opportunity to settle this issue because he was the head of the military. He was a dictator. He had the power behind him. He might not have had the people behind him, but he had the power behind him. He had the Americans
So you
supporting him.
think that was a missed opportunity at that time?
I really think that was a missed opportunity because I don't think the current Pakistani leadership has any capability of taking any big decisions. And I don't think the Indian Congress leadership has that ability to take on the right wing because whoever makes this big decision, like Charles de Gaulle when he sorted out the Algerian problem, I mean, he had to face tremendous opposition. But the man had the stature. He was a leader. You know, he wasn't following public opinion. He led public and molded public opinion. And that's what we don't have here.
So Pakistan will continue to remain the people we love to hate the most for some time to come, and vice versa.
Unless you have leadership in both the countries who sells people the dream that we'll all be better off if we get rid of this present attitude and solve our problems.
And by that you would refer to someone like yourself?
Well, I think that I could do it because, I'm a seller of dreams. In my own way, as a cricketer, I used to sort of give players a bigger vision so that they would play beyond themselves. You know, what is very important to understand is leadership always makes people realize that the collective good is much better than personal good. And so they make people rise above themselves. They show them a dream where everyone thinks it's all of us will do.
For 16 years now, you have been in Pakistani politics. Your party, Tehreek-e-Insaf, I think the last elections you all boycotted. The two before that you had one MP. In 1996 you had none, which is when it was the first elections. There is a lot of respect, there is a lot of admiration for you, yet it's not translating into electoral support, or you're not participating, right?
No.
Why is that?
First election party was 5 months old.
Right, okay.
So they had no organization. We participated to learn because we brought in new people. Second election party was 5 years old. We supported Musharraf, and we're the only party which was offered to join his coalition in a rigged election, which pulled out and said no, we weren't going to support him. So fell between two stools, got one seat. For the last 9 years, we haven't contested an election, and the party has changed completely. In the last election, if you look at the opinion polls, we were the number 3 party in Pakistan. In a coalition, we would have pulled in seats. Now is the Tehreek-e-Insaf is the idea whose time has come. And what you will see is a massive vote for Tehreek-e-Insaf because the young people, you go to any university now, any young people.
So we're talking about 2012, 13.
Or it could be before because the government is crumbling. But in the youth now, which is 70% of Pakistan is below the age of 30, Tehreek-e-Insaf is the number 1 party.
You're optimistic that it will happen the way you're seeing it, imagining it today.
Not just optimistic. I'm telling people, if they are the gambling types, put money on Tehreek-e-Insaf because this is the party who's going to win.
Okay, so the World Cup is over. We can try here. No, but most
in the last World Cup I played, I never told anyone to vote to put money on Tehreek-e-Insaf. I mean my Pakistan team. But the last World Cup which I went to play, I told everyone to put money on us, and at one point we were 50-1 to win the World Cup. And I kept telling people that you'll make a lot of money, put money on us. They still regret not putting money on us.
I was reading this that someone in Pakistan has written. The middle class suffers from a strange twisted envy of the West, where it follows Western fashions and prefers their luxury goods and lifestyles while being ferociously defensive about its own identity, defined in terms of religion and Pakistani nationalism. In Imran's case, A Western lifestyle fuses with the strange and immense self-pride which extends to include the domestic culture and fails to even see some of its blatant shortcomings. The brutal justice system of tribal areas is declared as fair and impartial. The Taliban, who've admitted to committing atrocities, are given an apologetic defense. They are apparently merely a reaction against US drone attacks. Do you, as a Western educated liberal human being, have to create another avatar of Imran Khan when you have to talk to people to get their votes?
You see, the problem is the westernized Pakistani does not understand the real Pakistan.
Are you not a westernized Pakistani?
But the difference between them and me is that I have gone into the grassroots of Pakistan. I've set up a political party. I have been to every corner, every village of Pakistan. I know Pakistanis. And the biggest curse is this two-tiered education system. One for the tiny elite, which is English medium schools, and the rest is for the common people. Two different cultures exist. So just because Imran Khan comes from Oxford, has Oxford education, does that give me the right to impose my own culture on the majority of the population? Or if I'm a real liberal, I will respect the culture of the people. I will not force my views on them. And I would like the culture to evolve rather than to impose an alien culture on them. And I do not believe that modernization is westernization. I don't believe that. You see, unfortunately, this arrogance of this tiny westernized elite trying to impose their views on the majority creates fundamentalism. It creates a reaction amongst the people. And as far as the tribal areas are concerned and Taliban phenomena is concerned, I'm an expert of the area because I'm the only one who has been to the tribal areas. I've done a travel book. There's hardly any Pakistani from the cities who's ever been to the tribal areas. I know their culture, I know their history, which is why I predicted everything what I predicted has happened. I stood up in the assembly.
Including Benazir Bhutto's assassination, in a sense.
I predicted that in front of Jeb Bush a month before assassination. I said, you put the kiss on of death on her by sending her as an American stooge to Pakistan. So now, when she'll be bumped off, Al-Qaeda or Taliban will be blamed, which is what happened. But let me just say one thing. I'm not an apologist for Taliban. And people don't even understand that this is not some sort of an ideological movement, some Taliban wanting to impose the Islam. These are our own tribal people who are reacting, who are joining Taliban not ideologically, but politically. They are reacting to Americans, which they have done to every foreign invader in history. People don't know their history. The moment the Pakistan army went in, it was always going to, what has happened was going to happen. We never had Taliban in Pakistan. We now have 30 Taliban groups there. So therefore, when people say this is the tiny westernized classes that reads English newspapers.
Okay, but Imran,
it does not know the real Pakistan. They don't know what they're talking about.
But explain to me.
They don't even know the Taliban phenomenon.
You know, I'm curious about you as a person because, you know, we've seen you over the last 20 years, at least in our collective consciousness. So you were this guy who was, who played the Englishman's game better than the Englishman. You were part of that society. You still fuse in, you know, really well with it. You seem to say, you claim that you know Pakistan better than anybody else, that you managed to break free from the confines of your elite education and background. Where do you really fit in? Who are you, Imran Khan? Do you fit in anywhere, or actually do you not fit in anywhere? I can't figure it out.
I fit in everywhere, not just anywhere, everywhere. I mean, England for me, because my family, my ex-wife's family, I still live with my ex-mother-in-law. She refuses to let me stay anywhere else. 7 years down the line after the divorce, my clothes are still there. And she would break her heart if I lived somewhere else when I go to England. My two ex-brother-in-laws are like my younger brothers.
I believe you actually campaigned for
Zach,
who's now a Conservative MP, isn't it?
Because I think he's a liberal.
So you fit in everywhere is what you're saying.
So I think a liberal person, and I call myself a liberal in the real sense of the word. I cannot understand Pakistani liberals who back drone attacks where they bomb villages, kill suspects, their wives, their children, their neighbors, and they're suspects. And they're incinerated. And they call themselves liberals. The real liberals were anti the Vietnam War. Real liberals do not think matters should be settled by bombs and guns. They believe that a human society must come together. And so therefore, I'm a liberal in the sense that I fit in England. I have a very close relationship with my, not just my, I have close friends there. I fit in India.
And you really fit in everywhere, you're saying. It's not that when you fit in England, it's a skin deep fit, but actually you're a traditional at heart. No, I'm really confused. Can someone really fit in everywhere?
No, but there's a difference. You accept other people. Other people have their own cultures. I know exactly where I'm rooted. I know my culture. I am very strong spiritually. I have my faith in God. I'm a practicing Muslim. But my religion and everything allows me to accept that this world has diversity. We should accept diversity. We should not impose our opinions on other people. We should accept human beings as they are. We should condemn when any human being does something wrong, illegal, unlawful, who are cruel, inhuman, whoever, whether they are your own countrymen or they are foreigners. But we should be able to have the guts to stand up for what is right, rights of human beings. That's why when you have that attitude, you'll fit in everywhere.
I've read you say somewhere that you don't do nostalgia, but humor me. I have two questions about just two women in your life, okay? One is your mother. She was supposed to be a pivotal influence in your life. Today, all these years after she's passed away, what do you remember as being the strongest lesson that you got from her?
There is nothing like the unconditional love of a mother. And there is nothing like, where a mother is a complete mother. My only problem with modern feminism is that they relegate the role of a mother. They somehow have made out that just being a housewife and a mother is a failure. Some sort of a woman has to be a working woman. This started during my, when I was in university, German Greer's famous book, The Female Eunuch. And it just sort of, women just wanted to be anything but a mother. But mother's role is pivotal.
But do you get the fact that women can be things and roles other than the mother, right? You get it.
A human being is only interesting and when they fulfill their potential in life, when they challenge themselves.
So if I don't have a child, I haven't fulfilled my potential as a woman?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Okay, all right.
I come from a family where one of my sisters works for the UN as one of the most senior economists. One is a surgeon. One is a serious businesswoman, exporter, one of the, who's done brilliantly on her own. So, and I came from a home which had a very strong but full-time mother. So the role of the mother is pivotal. That does not mean that she just stays at home and does nothing.
But she does everything. That's what you mean.
No, it means that
that's exactly what you mean. So she can do this and that and that and that.
It means that at the critical stage of her child's evolution, she has to play the role of a mother. And then, but that's not long. Soon they start going to school, and then she fulfills the other potential. But do not relegate the importance of a mother and a father, by the way.
That's not long. Yeah, exactly.
But as a father,
full-time father, for 10 years, would you?
Nothing gave me more pleasure.
Would you put your career on hold for 10 years to play a full-time father? But then you would say a father is not as important as the mother, right?
No, not at all. No, a father can never compensate for what a child needs from a mother, and a father has definitely a role. But for me, let me say one thing. My only regret in life, I only have one regret, that my work did not allow me to give as much time to children. Although I was a full-time father, gave me the greatest happiness. Being a father, nothing came close to the happiness I got from being a father. And the greatest pain in my life was my divorce, where I could no longer be with my children all the time.
Okay, the other question about the other woman in your life, you just mentioned her, your ex-wife, Jemima Goldsmith. What is it in 94, 95 when you met her? What is it that drew you to her? Because that sounded like a paperback romance novel, isn't it? You were more than 20 years her senior. I mean, you're Muslim, she's part Jewish. What is it that drew you to her?
Well, I mean, whatever, you know, she's a human being.
Indulge me and indulge your nostalgia.
For a start, like, I have always, whatever I have wanted in life, my life has never been dictated, policies in my life have never been dictated by fear or failure. I always chased my dreams, whatever they were. So it didn't matter if the whole world said this is going to fail. If I wanted it, I would have gone for it.
Why did you want it then is my question to you.
Because I found her very attractive. You know, I think Jemima had exceptional qualities. So I went for it. Didn't matter what anyone said. It's been when I wanted to be a cricketer, everyone said I couldn't because my two cousins were much superior. When I was going to build a hospital, everyone said, don't bother, you'll be destroyed. Or going into politics, the same thing. It doesn't matter to me. I never plan my life according to what people say. I never look for popularity in life. Do not try and make popular decisions. It was very unpopular in Pakistan, you know, for me to marry an English girl. It didn't matter. Because there's certain, you don't want to hurt public, but you don't want to lead your life by what public says.
But do you think your political career took a bit of a beating?
Well, I mean, I was attacked as being part of a Jewish lobby to take over Pakistan. I mean, that was the election campaign.
So, but you have no regrets at all, obviously?
Absolutely no regrets. Because the more resistance you face in life, the stronger you get. What doesn't kill you, strengthens you. So, I have no regrets. It was very difficult. The only time I began to feel, I felt a bit of remorse was when I saw her suffering, because all the political attacks, because they couldn't attack me, so they went for her. And, you know, I have such contempt for these political leaders, you know, who went for someone's wife, you know, someone who was vulnerable.
But there was never any question in your mind that you had an option, which is that you could have said, okay, my concern for Pakistan comes out with the social welfare work that I do. I go and live a fantastic life in London, and who knows, maybe my marriage survives.
No, to what? That I moved to London?
It's not at all a consideration, isn't it?
Look,
being Pakistani is being Imran Khan, right?
It's not even being Pakistani. It means life is for a purpose. There is a whole existence, the purpose to existence. I cannot imagine a life where I don't follow a passion or something, or a challenge, or I don't have specific goals. I can't imagine a life without goals.
And now, Pakistan is your goal currently.
Now, what would I be doing living in London? And Jemima knew this. She knew that I was fired by passions, and you know, I was always a dreamer. What would I be doing in London? I mean, a very easy existence, but totally purposeless.
One final question. This is to end with a little bit of a laugh, and that is, you've been asked to pick the best bowler, the all-time great, the best batsman. I want you to pick from the current crop of cricketers someone who you think could inherit your legacy, not in terms of cricket, but in terms of the charisma, the sex appeal, the glamour that you brought to the game. Come on, Imran Khan, pick one. We did a lot of serious talk. Let's have a smile now.
You know, but you look at it like that.
Oh, there's no one who can be like Imran Khan, inimitable. Is that what you're going to say?
No, you look at it like that. I never look at life like that, about glamour. I mean, glamour is so fickle.
Yeah, but we enjoyed looking at you, let me say that.
I never even read these glamour magazines because it is just such trivial stuff. There's much bigger, let me tell you the people I look up to. People who have great dreams, and the dreams are beyond the self. So people I looked up to were Mandelas, the Lee Kuan Yews, the Mahathers, and then this great man Erdogan, the Turkish Prime Minister. People, you know, who transform societies, who have selfless ambitions. So even if in cricket I see someone who, like Steve Waugh, I think he's done brilliantly. That here he is, set up a charity in Calcutta and works for it full time.
Let us enjoy that vicarious pleasure we got out of seeing you enjoy the good life when you were in your prime, Imran Khan.
Yeah, but you know, I hardly remember anything of that good life. I mean, someone asked me, Imran, don't you miss those good old days? I have never ever
It's gone.
wanted to go back. Whatever has passed is only to learn from and move forward. You asked me a question about my mother. You know, when my mother died, it was the most painful thing I'd gone through. I trained my mind to block her memory because it was too painful to remember her last days. So I trained myself that whenever their memory would come, I would block it. And I think your mind is so powerful that the past, you just train your mind only to learn from the past. The next most painful thing was my divorce. You know, suddenly not being with my family, my children. And so I trained my mind, and eventually the Almighty has given us so much strength that the more we exercise the strength, the stronger we get.
More power to you. I hope you continue getting
Thank you.
stronger, and I hope that the kind of vision that you have and the work that you've put into it comes true, Imran Khan. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.